The courtroom air crackled with tension, the fluorescent lights humming like a swarm of angry bees. Alicia Carter sat perfectly still in the defendant's chair, her dark eyes locked on the two police officers smugly recounting their version of events. "She became aggressive, Your Honor," Officer Daniels said, his voice smooth as polished marble. "We had no choice but to detain her." Alicia's fingers tightened around the edge of her seat. They'd pulled her over for a broken taillight, allegedly, then planted a bag of pills in her glove compartment when she questioned their routine search. Now, they were painting her as a menace, a threat. But Alicia wasn't just any black woman fighting a bogus charge. She had a secret, one she'd kept buried for years. And as the judge adjusted his glasses, ready to deliver a verdict that would bury her future, she reached into her blazer pocket. The metal badge inside burned like a live coal against her palm. Meanwhile, across town, 17-year-old Jamal Thompson slumped in a bus seat, his headphones blasting beats to drown out the world. He'd stayed up late studying for his SATs, again, and his eyes felt like sandpaper. But when a visibly pregnant white woman staggered onto the bus, clutching her lower back, Jamal didn't hesitate. He stood, offering his seat with a quiet, "Here, ma'am." The woman, her blonde hair frizzing in the humidity, blinked at him like he'd spoken another language. For a heartbeat, Jamal braced for the usual. Suspicion, a cold shoulder. But then she smiled. A real smile, warm and grateful. "Thank you," she murmured, lowering herself into the seat. As the bus lurched forward, she scribbled something on a crumpled receipt, folded it twice, and pressed it into Jamal's hand. "For you," she said, her voice trembling. "Read it when you get home." Back in the courtroom, Alicia's heart thundered as the judge cleared his throat. "Given the officer's testimony." "Your Honor," she interrupted, rising to her feet. Every head swiveled toward her. The officers smirked, expecting desperation, tears. Instead, Alicia slid the badge onto the table. The engraved eagle glinted under the harsh lights. "Special Agent Alicia Carter," she said, her voice steady, icy. "Central Intelligence Agency. Covert. Operations Division." The room froze. Daniel's jaw went slack. The prosecutor's pen clattered to the floor. Alicia leaned forward, her gaze slicing through the silence. "Now, let's discuss why these officers really stopped me that night." Jamal unfolded. The note in his dimly lit bedroom, his mother's voice drifting down the hall. "Dinner's ready." But his eyes stayed glued to the messy scrawl. "You don't know me," it began. "But you saved me today. Not just my back, but my life. I'm leaving my husband. He's dangerous. I've seen his texts. His name is Officer Mark Daniels. If anything happens to me, tell the truth." Jamal's blood turned to ice. Daniels. The same name plastered across the evening news earlier. The cop suing some woman for assault. His thumb hovered over his phone, a local news headline glowing on the screen. CIA agent exposes police corruption in shocking courtroom confrontation. Alicia's badge bought her 5 minutes of stunned silence before the prosecution demanded proof, the officers spluttering about fake credentials. But as she pulled out her phone to call her handler, the courtroom doors burst open. A tall man in a suit marched in, flanked by federal agents. "Your Honor," he said, flashing a DOJ badge. "This case is now under federal jurisdiction." The officers paled. Alicia's handler hadn't just sent backup. He'd sent a storm. Jamal's finger trembled over the woman's note. "Tell the truth." But truth was dangerous. He'd seen what happened to kids who snitched on cops in his neighborhood. Across the city, Alicia stared down the trembling officers, her voice a blade. "You picked the wrong woman to frame." And as the federal agent leaned toward the judge, whispering words that drained the color from his face, Alicia wondered, who else had these men destroyed? How many Jamas had they silenced? The buswoman's note ended with an address and a plea. "Come tomorrow. Bring someone you trust. Jamal's mom called again, louder this time. He shoved the note under his pillow, his mind racing. 2 miles away, Alicia walked out of the courthouse, reporters screaming questions, the officers in cuffs behind her. But as she slipped into a black SUV, her handler handed her a file. "We've got a bigger problem," he said. "That teen who helped our witness, his name just came up in a very sensitive investigation." The screen fades to black as engines roar and sirens wail. 2 stories, 2 secrets. One night that will tie them together, or destroy them both. Alicia's SUV tore through the rain-slicked streets, the city lights bleeding into streaks of gold through the fogged windows. Her handler, a grizzled man named Harper with a voice like gravel, didn't look up from the file in his lap. "The kid's name is Jamal Thompson," he said, flipping a photo toward her. It showed a lanky teen in a faded hoodie, his eyes wary but kind. The same face plastered on the news hours earlier, labeled a Good Samaritan for helping the pregnant woman. Alicia's stomach tightened. "Why is he in your file?" she asked. Harper's jaw flexed. "Because the woman who gave him that note, her husband isn't just some abusive cop. Daniels is dirty, part of a unit we've been tracking for months. They've been funneling drugs, tampering with evidence. And your little traffic stop, they weren't after you. They were after him." Alicia's mind raced. Jamal. A kid who just happened to be in the wrong place, or was he? Jamal paced his tiny bedroom, the note crumpled in his fist. His mom's laughter floated down the hall from the TV, oblivious. Bring someone you trust. But who? His best friend, Dion? No, Dion would crack under pressure. His brother, Malik? 3 states away in the army. The address on the note was a boarded-up diner on the east side, a place kids at school whispered about, where deals went down, where people disappeared. His phone buzzed. A news alert. CIA agents bold. Courtroom move exposes police corruption network. The article featured a photo of Alicia, stern and unflinching, her badge gleaming. Jamal zoomed in. Something about her eyes. The same fierce stillness his mom had when she lied about having enough money for groceries. Alicia slammed the file shut. "You're telling me they targeted me because I'm close to taking down their operation? Then why involve some random kid?" Harper sighed, rubbing the scar that cut through his eyebrow. "Jamal's not random. His father, Robert Thompson, was an informant for us. Gave intel on the precinct's drug ties before he vanished." The word hung in the air. Alicia remembered the name. Robert's file had crossed her desk 6 months ago. Missing, presumed dead. "They killed him," she said flatly. Harper nodded. "And now they're tying up loose ends. Jamal doesn't know, but his dad left something behind. Evidence. Daniels's crew thinks the kid has it." The buswoman's face haunted Jamal, the way her hands shook as she passed him the note. Dangerous. He pulled up Daniels's Facebook page, public, like most cops who loved the spotlight. Photos of barbecues, charity runs, a smiling pregnant wife. Wait, Jamal squinted. The woman on the bus wasn't in any of the pictures. Instead, a brunette in a sundress hugged Daniels in every shot. Melissa Daniels. The captions. Studios 10 years together. Jamal's throat went dry. So the buswoman wasn't his wife, which meant Alicia's phone buzzed, an encrypted message. Surveillance footage attached. She clicked it. Grainy black and white video showed Jamal on the bus, offering his seat. The woman, face blurred by the system, handing him the note. But Alicia didn't need to see her face. She recognized the posture, the way the woman cradled her stomach. "Sophie," she whispered. Harper stiffened. "You know her." Alicia's chest ached. She was an asset, helped us track dirty money through the precinct, went off-grid 4 weeks ago. Harper cursed. If Daniel's crew finds out she's alive, and that she talked to Jamal. Jamal's finger hovered over the dial button. The local news station's tip line glowed on his screen. Tell the truth. But his dad had tried that. His dad, who'd worked nights as a security guard, who'd come home whispering about cops he didn't trust. They're snakes in uniforms, when he'd say, until one day he didn't come home at all. The cops called it a robbery gone wrong. No suspects, no evidence. Jamal's mom still lit a candle for him every Sunday. Alicia's SUV screeched to a halt outside a nondescript safe house. "We need to bring Jamal in," Harper said, but Alicia was already stepping into the rain. "No," she said. "If we drag him into a federal building, Daniel's buddies will know we're onto them. We go quiet. Watch him. Protect him." Harper grabbed her arm. "This isn't a solo mission, Carter. This is a network. These cops have judges, lawyers, hell, maybe even someone in the agency." Alicia yanked free. "Then I'll burn it all down, starting with them." Jamal slid out his window at 3 a.m., the note tucked in his shoe. The streets were silent, the kind of silence that felt like a held breath. He'd texted Dion a lie. "Gotta help my mom with something." And now he walked fast, hood. Boy, fists clenched. The diner's neon sign flickered ahead. The E in Eat Dead. His phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Don't go inside." Jamal froze. Another text. "They're watching you. Turn around." Alicia crouched on a rooftop. Across from the diner, night vision binoculars pressed to her eyes. She'd tailed Jamal since he'd left his block, her heart hammering as he'd hesitated at the diner's door. "Come on, kid," she muttered. "Walk away." But then two figures emerged from the alley, thick-necked, moving with the casual swagger of men who'd never been told no. Alicia's hand flew to her earpiece. "Harper, I need backup at the old diner now." Jamal's legs locked. The texts kept coming. "Look up." He glanced at the rooftop. A shadow waved. A woman. "Trust me." The men from the alley stepped into the streetlight. One smiled, flashing a gold tooth. "Hey, hero, heard you've got something that belongs to us." Jamal stumbled back, but a car rolled up behind him, headlights blinding. The door opened. "Get in," a voice growled. "Or we shoot you here." Alicia's rifle snapped into place. She had a clear shot on Goldtooth, but the car blocked Jamal. "Damn it!" Her earpiece crackled. 2 minutes out," Harper barked. "Do not engage." But the men were closing in, Jamal backing toward the car. Alicia exhaled. Screw protocol. She fired a warning shot into the diner's sign. Glass exploded. The men ducked, cursing, and Jamal ran, straight into the alley. Alicia was already moving, scaling down the fire escape. "Kid," she hissed, "this way." Jamal didn't think. He followed the voice, the woman in black tactical gear sprinting ahead of him. They burst through a chain-link fence, sirens wailing in the distance. "Who are you?" he panted. Alicia yanked him behind a dumpster as footsteps pounded behind. "Them. Someone who doesn't want you dead," she said, pressing a gun into his hand. "Ever fired one of these?" Jamal stared at it. "No, wait, yes, my dad taught me before." Alicia's eyes softened. "Robert Thompson's kid. Of course he did." The screen fades to black as engines roar closer. Somewhere, Sophie hides in a motel, clutching her stomach. Somewhere, Harper speeds toward the alley, radio screaming. And in the shadows, a man with a gold tooth dials a number. "The agent has the boy. What do you want us to do?" A pause. "Clean." "Up," a voice says. "All of it."